Hi guys, my name's Anthony Cummins. Now welcome to this video. What I want to talk to you about today is actually the way you perceive ninja history. Now I've had an email from a gentleman, an Italian gentleman, and he's a really nice chap, and he sent me some superb information, so his understanding of Japanese culture and Japanese history is great. However, the questions he raised, two of them from the translations we do, made me think that people are really stuck in this idea of an sort of Edo period mentality when they think about ninja and samurai history. So I want to go through two of his questions now in response instead of emailing him, just so you guys can see where I'm going. Now, the first question was, he says, from the Shoninki, Natori Masataki, whichever one you want, talks about breathing through the tube, you know, like bamboo, or through, through the scabbard of a sword. Now he says he doesn't believe this is true, and he believes it's fiction because his reason was that when you put the scabbard underwater it would get wet, and if you put the sword back in it would rust, or that if the sword is taken out when you breathe it is going to rust because of the water. Now probably yes, it will rust, but to me that is really Edo period thinking, when you've got prestigious swords and they're family swords and they're kept on a shelf, you know, and they're sort of like in the honour of your warrior family. But we're talking about the Sengoku period, we're talking about the period of war, right? These are guys who were running around in the rain, they were crossing rivers, they were living in camps, battlefield camps. Other manuals that we've read, non-ninja ones but actual just samurai manuals, talk about how your sword falls to pieces and is chipped and dented and bent. The Taiheki actually talks about straightening swords because you've bent them and chipped them so much. To add to this, ninja manuals constantly say be ready to throw away your swords. The idea of the sword being the soul of the samurai and the possession is a totally sort of Edo period thing, where it's got this, I'm not saying it's not important, it's a very important piece of kit, but it's got this almost spiritual quality, this, like, you know, expensive artistic quality. They're only artistic when you're not killing people with them. Before that, they're very functional things. So you can't think. So his reason is that this can't be real because it doesn't fit in with like this artistic quality. In the Sengoku period, ninjas were crossing moats, living in the mountains, throwing their swords away. I've even come across a manual that says, if you have your sword stolen, borrow another one. Borrow one, like they're just common items. To add to that, people forget in the Sengoku period, anybody could wear a sword. Anybody could wear daisho. You could have two swords. They're not this prestigious thing that we think they are. However, Natori himself has never tried breathing through the scabbard. He says it is said, or tradition states, or there are some people who are good at diving. It clearly infers he has never tried it. There are other manuals that talk about putting swords underwater. So I want to point out to you that just because, you know, you think maybe the sword will rust, so it's not impossible, it is not the correct way of thinking about these things in history. His second point was, for this gentleman, he thought that this was also Natori, but it's not. This is from the Katori Shinto Ryu. And they say put a leather guard, or cover your tsuba, your handguard, in leather, or use a leather guard. He says this is not true because people would identify you were a shinobi because of the leather guard. And he's saying that leather guards did exist, but before the Edo period. And it's like, well, maybe it's not the Edo period then. Maybe this is information from the Katori Shinto Ryu, which is Sengoku period. So, but he was saying that you would be seen with a leather guard and people would know this. Now, that's not actually true, because maybe lots of people in the Sengoku period had leather guards. Maybe they, you know, couldn't afford a metal one. Maybe they just made one out of the leather. Whatever. For some reason they had leather, no problem. But there's two situations where you see a ninja. You see a ninja climbing the castle wall, and then you're like, you're not bothered about his leather guard. He's climbing the wall, you know he's a ninja, you know he's not meant to be there. So the fact that he's got a leather guard has nothing to do with it. Now we do know through actual historical manuals that when you infiltrate the shinobi you do change the tsuba, but that's information for the future. So let's look at it the other way. Maybe this ninja's travelling in open disguise and he's got his sword and it's got a leather guard, and let's say it does give him away. Maybe he's got two guards. One is metal and when he comes to infiltrate, he just takes out the pin and puts the leather guard on to stop it rattling, to stop it banging on walls, things like that. Because I do have documented manuals right there that say change your tsuba when you do shinobi infiltration. So for the Italian gentleman, this is no disrespect to you, that is superb that you've got such great knowledge, but we need to change our understanding of history. That's not how it works. You cannot perceive what you think would be logical, and you sort of back it up with logic when it's not. It really isn't logical. So I hope that helps, and I hope you enjoy that. And anything you come across, guys, in the world of history, try to think about what environment they were in at the time. While, for example, why you think a sword may be prestigious now, at that time they were throwaway items to some level, and some of them were. So we've got to change the way we think. Of course, if you're interested in real ninjutsu, the historical version, come across to the website, and there's free PDFs and downloads there. Thank you very much. My name's Anthony Cummins.